Welcome back for part 2 of my chocolate hacks. If you haven't seen part 1, get on it now. These are simple tips and tricks that you will love me for. They're easy to execute, but have a spectacular finish that is going to impress at your next function. I'm going to create for you some little passion fruits, but made out of chocolate, so they look exactly like passion fruits. I like to create things that replicate real things, like fruit is a great example. So I've used some water balloons and just blown them up big enough to the size of a passion fruit. And to make them look very genuine, we're going to start with some layers of white chocolate. Now I've tempered the white chocolate in a plastic bowl by melting it till it's half liquid, half solid chocolate, then just stirring it. We do that in the microwave. Now I'm going to transfer it to a glass bowl so you can see what I'm doing, but also so the chocolate's quite deep. So we're going to do passion fruit halves, not wholes. So I'm going to dip this halfway. Just tap it on the surface. A little bit of excess chocolate on the base isn't a problem because we want it to be a little bit flat on the bottom so that it's going to sit on a plate nicely. Now I'm going to make the chocolate layer a little bit thicker than what I normally would because the passion fruit skin, when we cut through it, is a little bit thicker. So I'm going to wait until this sets and I'm going to double dip them in white, which is really, when you think about it, double dipping chocolate sounds amazing. Second layer of white, you can place these in the fridge in between, but don't leave them in there for too long because when you bring them out, you're going to get a layer of condensation, which will mean the next layer of chocolate won't stick properly. This is also where you get a chance to have a look and see if you went up high enough on the balloon, which one of mine I didn't. So this one I went a little bit low on, so I'm going to fix that now by pushing it in a little bit further. And this time I'm swiping the excess off the base. Just a little bit. I'm going to take the remaining white chocolate, I'm going to add some purple and some black colour to it to give me a passion fruit colour. You must use a powder, it must be oil soluble. So an oil soluble powder, sieve it into the mixture and then mix it through. So here's my passion fruit purple. I've added about 8% oil, so take the weight of your chocolate, add about 8% grapeseed oil if you can get it, or just a really mild oil. Pour that in. Now we're going to put the outside of the passion fruit on. So we have to go right to the top. A little bit of a wipe on the base. And just double check that you haven't wiped so much off that you can see the balloon. I'm just going to trim back a little bit of the white so we have a more rounded base, ensuring of course that I don't pierce the balloon. The reason we use a balloon is because the chocolate, as it contracts, of course, becomes smaller. So if you put something solid inside the chocolate will always crack. But because the balloon is flexible, as the chocolate contracts, the air just moves around the balloon, so it's perfect for this sort of technique. We're going to let those set. You can place them in the fridge if you want at this stage for a few minutes, and then we're going to bring them out and finish them off. Once these have set, to remove the balloon, I hate popping balloons, so I just nick it near the top and then just slowly pull it out. So I've got a heat gun here. I'm going to warm up a metal tray, or you can put it in the oven at 50 degrees Celsius. I think we're good to go. Slip them, and we're just going to level off that top. Just with a little bit of paper towel, we just wipe off any excess chocolate. Don't apply more heat without cleaning your tray. Now with the raspberry, you know the passion fruit have a little bit of pink, a little bit of red, so just prior to serving, I'm just going to rub a little bit of red just around the edge. Just where you cut it. Get a little bit of the skin that comes through as a pink. Now just prior to serving, we're going to finish them off by making them look like passion fruit. If you wanted to do a little bit of mousse in here, you could, but I'm going to make it quick and easy by just using some ice cream. So a little bit of vanilla ice cream. If you really wanted to go that step further, you could use passion fruit ice cream. I'm going to place that in the bottom of each one. Just making sure it's smoothed over and not sticking up. And you want it to be pretty close to the top without actually going over. Transfer these to a serving plate, and then we're going to top them with some fresh passion fruit. Now these are great served on their own, or they can make a fantastic decoration for a passion fruit pavlova or a passion fruit sponge. If you do them with ice cream, just store them in the freezer and put the passion fruit on at the last minute. This next trick is a really easy, simple dessert, and you can have them ready in your freezer for when people come over. So I'm just using a store-bought ice cream, which I've left out of the freezer for about 5 minutes, so it's a little bit pliable. And I'm going to press it into a log shape using the plastic wrap. So this is quite easy to do, but it's important to create some tension on the plastic. And then we press it in, twist it in opposite directions. To create our own unique ice cream shape. At this stage, this is going to go back into the freezer. I would make multiple of them, and then once they're frozen again, we're going to place in an ice cream stick and dip them in chocolate. Now you're going to love me, because when you're working with ice cream, you don't have to temper the chocolate. So you want to choose a chocolate that contains cocoa butter, but you simply melt it till it's really quite hot. So I've got dark chocolate here, but you can do exactly the same with milk or white. The chocolate will set without contracting on the ice cream, so it won't crack. It'll give you a nice, even, thin layer. To add a little bit of pizzazz or a little bit of extra flavor, I've got some roasted almonds here that I've finely chopped, which I'm going to add into the chocolate, which is going to add some beautiful texture to our ice cream. So once you've finished dipping and you've got leftover chocolate, spread it out onto a sheet of baking paper, wrap it up and seal it so it's not exposed to light or humidity, and then remelt it next time you're going to do this. And because you're working with ice cream, it really doesn't matter what temperature it's going to be. Okay, I've got that ready. I'm going to set that to the side, and I'm going to pull a couple of ice cream rolls out and put the sticks in. Just putting the ice cream stick in, closing it back around, and then I'm going to freeze it again prior to dipping. Take the chocolate, place it into a jug. Unwrap our ice cream. Now we're ready to dip in. Wow, that looks so yummy. So just hold it upside down till it stops dripping. Shake it off a little bit. So simple to create your own chocolate-coated ice cream. I'm going to create a chocolate curl using things that you should have in your own home. So I've got some plastic wrap here, which I'm just going to fold up, get all the air out. To make a textured strip, we're going to place that on some baking paper. And I have some tempered dark chocolate here. So just heat it in the microwave till it's half liquid, half solid chocolate, and then just vigorously stir it. You only have to temper chocolate if you're making a decoration. You don't have to temper it if it contains vegetable fat, but we can't be friends if you're using compound chocolate with vegetable fat, just saying. So I have our beautifully tempered chocolate here. I always tend to go for dark because it's stronger, it lasts longer, and it's always going to be shinier. So we should get a little bit of a gloss off this because the plastic isn't porous. So the chocolate is going to contract against the surface and it's going to reflect light. Just with an angled palette knife, just spread it out. Just want a thin layer. Then we let that sit for a minute till it starts to set, and then we're going to curl it. Now I'm going to place a piece of baking paper on top, and I'm going to roll it around a PVC pipe just to get a nice curl, and then we're going to place it in the fridge to set. If you don't have a PVC pipe, you can use a rolling pin. This is an old-fashioned rolling pin, Nana style, to have a smaller curl. So it just depends how big or how small you want it. At this stage, we can place it into the fridge. Now the decoration should only go in the fridge for maximum 5 to 8 minutes. Store this for as long as you can in the plastic. So we just gently peel the plastic off. Now that's quite a large curl, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to heat a knife up and cut it down. So it's good to make it in a full length, and then you can cut it to the size that you want. This is great for an individual dessert. You can actually place it all around the dessert if you've got a cylinder with ice cream or decoration for a cake. Using the heat gun, I'm just going to warm up the knife. You can also do that with a burner. Just gently, don't try and force it. Just melting through to give us some individual chocolate pearls. Now you can make these as thin or as thick as you like, and it's really easy to manipulate the plastic wrap into any shape. For this decoration, you'll require a piece of acetate. I've just cut this off a sheet, so I've created a strip, but you can also get it in strips. Now you can get acetate from art supply store or craft stores. The beauty of this is we can use it over and over again. I've got some dark chocolate here that I've tempered. It's a little bit messy on the bench, and it's important that your bench is completely flat. So let's check out if my bench is flat. So a little bit of chocolate here. Now you can use a tiling comb that they use for grout, or you can use one of these, which is a little bit fancier. This actually has rubber combed pieces on there, and they come in all different sizes. We do actually sell these at Saver. Okay, so I do it there. This creates a little bit of static electricity when you do it this way, but I just pull it down. Ta-da! There is so much you can do with this strip of chocolate. We have to wait until it starts to set, but as soon as it starts to set, we can put it between two trays and keep it flat and cut individual sticks, or you can curl it. We can actually put it together to make a ring, so you have full circles. If you're going to do that, you do that at this stage. You can cut it at any space with a set of scissors. So we can cut it on an angle. And cut it here to make individual chocolate sticks. So we can cut it to make individual round curls. We can also curl it. Once the chocolate starts to set, you'll have time to manipulate it before it fully contracts. That's the beauty of working with couverture chocolate. So we've got 3 different decorations from the one strip of chocolate. very versatile and very, very easy to do. Now these decorations should stay in the plastic until you're ready to use them. And these would be a little bit shinier if they had a bit more time in the fridge, but you'll get the idea. So the acetate can be reused. Just wipe it down with some cotton wool. And these make great individual curls, which look great on lots of different chocolate and patisserie applications. If you wanted all the rings to stay together, when they're combed and you roll them, you have to pipe chocolate along the base. So when you unwrap them, they all stay together, but there's not a lot you can do with them when they're all together like that because it's almost a little bit too big. We've got our individual lines. I won't say straight because they're a little bit wonky. Which look great on, once again, so many different applications. Lots of different things that you can do with those. Okay, this is a tricky one to unwrap. Ta-da! And there we have really pretty individual chocolate curls. This technique is fantastic. It can be applied to lots of different applications. I'm going to pipe thickened chocolate on the outside of a balloon. If you're using any other mold, like a bowl or something like that, the chocolate needs to be piped on the inside, but sometimes it's a little bit tricky to get it out unless you're using a chocolate mold, which is smooth, which makes it quite easy. So I'm going to place the balloon into a cup. I'm going to tape it in place. I've got some dark chocolate that's tempered in a plastic bowl. I'm going to transfer it to a glass bowl so you can see what I'm doing. We're going to thicken the chocolate with water, but you can also utilize alcohol or cocoa powder to thicken the chocolate. We only add a few drops at a time. If you add too much water at once, it will seize the chocolate. Also, if you're not stirring it when you're adding the liquid, it will also seize the chocolate. So just 1 or 2 drops at a time. All right, that might have been 3. What this does is it thickens the chocolate up enough so that when we pipe it, it doesn't run back into itself. So you can see already there, just from a few drops, it's holding on the surface of the chocolate. So I'm just going to add a tiny bit more. Mix it really well, and then we have a look, and you can see that that's holding beautifully. So that's thick enough for what we're doing. I'm going to use a paper piping cone. We do have a YouTube video on how to make these, or you can use a Ziploc bag. Only fill the bag halfway or just over half. We fold the bag away from the seam and fold the top down. Cut a small amount off the end of the bag. This is the reason for the tape, so we can actually maneuver the balloon around. And I'm just going to pipe it in a circular fashion. You can also do a crisscross if you want to. If you really wanted to get a little bit fancy, you could even make a little basket. So you could do the base here, and then you could pipe a handle here, and then once they're both set, join them together with some liquid chocolate. So try to get it even around the edge, and make sure it's not too thin in any spots. If it is, just touch it up with a little bit more chocolate so that it doesn't break when you get it off. Now you will have some breakages, so make a couple more than what you actually need. Simple as that, ready to go in the fridge. We're going to place this in the fridge for 5 to 10 minutes. 7 minutes in the fridge. Very carefully, because I hate pop balloons. We take the tape off. Got it out in one piece. Now I'm just going to very carefully nip a small hole here in the base. how that happened. Now you can see the potential here. We can create a basket this way to create a dessert in, or you can also make it bigger if you want to and encase a dessert with a chocolate cage. This is another really simple but effective chocolate hack. I could make chocolate garnishes and chocolate hacks for days and days. I hope you enjoyed the YouTube video. Please leave a comment below. If you'd like some more in-depth tuition, have a look at Savor online classes. If you enjoyed that episode, you will love my channel. Subscribe today for even more tutorials on chocolate and baking. Best of all, it's free, so get on it.